Okay, hi Anuj. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. And you?
Yeah, doing very well. Thank you so much. I understand we both are very passionate about astrology. I have a quick question for you. A lot of time people ask me whether astrology is a science or an art. What are your thoughts? Let's hear from you.
Very, very, very interesting question. I mean, in fact, I remember a few years, not even a few years, about a decade or so back, we did discuss on it during my learning days in Delhi with Shriki and Rao.
Mhm.
So that was the exact question that we were talking about then. Is astrology a science or art? So, to begin with, let's just get away with the mathematics part of it because astrology is astronomy. Okay. So,
Okay.
50% of it is astronomy. And astronomy, as we know, as has been established fact, is science. Okay. It is science of celestial beings, their trajectories, orbits, movement, whatever. Okay.
Mhm.
Then the rest that remains is 50% of interpretation. Now, is that science or not? That is what the question is.
Okay.
So, question itself, when you say the astrology is art or science, it means either it is art or either it is science. So it is neither art nor science, first of all, because 50% of it is science, as proven just now that I just told you, it's astronomy. In
Mhm.
fact, astronomy feeds astrology.
Okay.
In order for people to be astrologers, there has to be work done by either them themselves as astronomers or astronomers who are working just for finding out celestial beings and their motions. So their findings are then just a books observed and then put on the bed test of experience and happenings and events and confirmations. Only then astrology can be formed. So when we say
Very.
astrology, it comes from astronomy and astronomy feeds astrology. So astrology comes after and it's a higher science than astronomy itself. Or
Okay.
rather to say it in a different way, astronomy and astrology or astronomer and astrologer. I would call or a loose simile would be an astronomer is a librarian.
Okay.
Okay. So an astronomer knows, just like a librarian knows, which book is where in the library.
Right.
Okay. So their
Hmm.
position and how many pages, who wrote it, and when was it written, all that is written in his the cards that the book cards, the shelf card that they maintain as a record in the library. So he's a librarian, an astronomer, or people who are learning or have interest in astronomy. What is an astrologer then? An astrologer is a real scholar who comes in the library, but he is not interested in all the books.
Okay. Right. Very
He
interesting.
in his subject and the books that pertains to him. And there he knows which planets he has to study, which planets have an effect on us. So he is, in fact, a connoisseur or a better or refined person than a librarian. Now, here I'm
Mm.
not making this comparison in order to classify or give a class, he's bigger or smaller. It's just
Mhm.
to show you a difference, that there is a difference, and they both have their places, like I said.
Mhm.
Astronomy, it's astrology. So there your question, 50% answered. Is it science or is it art? So it is nevertheless 50% pure science and mathematics. Okay.
Okay.
So everything are numbers. Now, it comes to the interpretation part of it. When we talk about interpretation part of it, we have to understand, observe, confirm, and finally conquer within the fraternity and the users or the end users who are the people who come to us for counseling. Okay.
Hmm.
All have to confirm, and their recurrence in coming to us for again and again, in a way, loosely says that it works and the events, they're coming back because they trust what we told them before happened. Okay. Now,
Correct.
in the concurrence of event, when we say art, so whatever interpretations are being done, they have to be checked with actual happenings, how it affects life on earth, especially for human beings, because that is the subject of study primarily, but also
Mhm.
because there are many branches of astrology addressing different life spheres of society. It can be
Mhm.
political events, it can be group events, it can be festivals and monsoons and calamities and all those things. So there are many
Yeah.
different streams to it. But all of these have to be confirmed. Now, when art, what is the art form? What the people like to call 50% art form, I don't even accept that. So 50%
Okay.
maths and science is proven. The next 50%, when people say, is that last next 50% art? And I would say, no, it's not art.
Mhm.
It is again science or mathematics, but it is based on probability.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Hmm.
Now, that probability percentages differ from one doctor to another, from one advocate to another, from one chartered accountant to another, from one astrologer to another astrologer.
Very right. Very true. Yeah.
So it differs.
Mm.
And how capable one is, that would determine how much of those that probability becomes deterministic. Or
Very
in other
true.
words, say it's a probabilistic science. The art form, which I do accept with people, that yes, there is an art form. But what is that art form? That art form is basically in how those probabilistic elements that our astrologer determines or that are influencing that particular chart on that particular moment, how he presents them. That is art.
Mm. True.
That is the
And,
only part which is art form, and that art form is also linguistic.
mhm.
Okay, so in my opinion, 80% of astrology is actually science and
Mhm.
mathematics, and the last 20% is linguistics, etymology, which Parashara Rishi says, uha po patu,
Mhm. Guha
or
Pahopatu.
Shabda Shastri,
Mm.
articulate, Shabda
Mm.
Shastri, Shabda Shastra Krit Shama. Who should be an astrologer? So he should be an articulate person. He should know his vocabulary. He should be able to say the same emotions in 5 different ways.
Mm. True. Very true.
Okay. Just like an astrologer telling a king or an autocrat that all your family will die in front of your eyes, or he can also present these things as saying, Mr. So and so, or oh my king, oh my sultan, you have the longest life in your family.
Mm.
Now you can
Very well said.
imagine a stark difference between these two statements on how an astrologer has to present his things,
Mm.
because they both statements mean the same thing. He is going to have the longest life in his whole family, and all his family is going to die in front of him. Tell me what is the difference in the inference? It is only in the manner of saying. So how we
Correct.
present it is an art form. Rest everything is pure science based on probabilistic model, which has its policies based on the probability there is attached to it. That's
100%.
my humble basic submission to you.
Thank you so much, Anush. I think that's very enlightening. Um, in my views, I think I just maybe try to just put it in a very different context. It's as you say, it's science, so it's like you need to do the calculations where the planets were when someone was born. So it's governed by the left brain, which is logical part, and the rest, which is the artistic form, is governed by the right brain of a human being, where your wordings, your intuition, your imagination, all these things combinedly create a prediction for the judgment or for the client. And of course, right, you rightly said that we have to say it in the right way. Sometimes you can say the same thing in a very nice way, where it can be said in very in such a way that it can really disturb somebody. And being an astrologer, we have this burden on us that we need to be very, I would say, we need to put things very nicely in front of the people, because when they come to us, they're generally very scared and they have issues. Only then they look for an astrologer. And as you said, like it depends on person to person as well, how you look at it. The artistic form, obviously. So artistic form also. get help from the tools you available. You have the knowledge you've gathered of astrology. Like, there are various forms of astrology, as you very nicely touched. Like, we got Vedic, we got KP, we got BNN, we got so many others, and then we got a lot of tools as well to combine this. Like, we have Horari, we got KP, charts and all those things to confirm basically of an event. So you're a bit more certain um, than what you are normally, just looking at certain things with the one tool which an astrologer can have. And also, I think as an astrologer, I mean, in my view, I think you might have a different view, but it's our job to not to say bad things to people, or in a wrong words, or in a words which can hurt them, basically, because it can have a detrimental effect. Because sometimes someone only have is a hope, and we should not be, we should just helping them to make that hope more strong. Because I've seen it again and again and again. Sometimes the chart says something, but and which can be very, you can see that something negative can happen to the person, but being an astrologer, I say things very positively, and that has I've seen changing results in the events. The results turn out to be very positive, just because I've said it. And the person is expecting that as well. So they expect that positive side of the results, and it's their karma as well. It comes into the picture, and they're and even being expecting those right results because I've said that. They're creating a positive karma, that cycle of vibration. Because we always have a free will, as Krishna has said in Gita. You do your karma, and I'll take care of the rest. I think that all plays an important role in all this. But thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this topic. Is there anything you want to add to it, or shall we just like end this podcast?
No, we can add something like when you said people have to take care of their karma, of course, that is true. You touched upon something called free will. So I guess we'll leave that for another time.
Mhm.
So how much of free will do we have? Is there really something called free will? And if it exists, how much? How many times do we really exercise them? And how many times have we seen it happen? If we finally come to a thing that there is a free will or there is no free will, then we come to the horary astrology, where if there is a free will, then how come horary astrology works?
Mhm. Very
So there are many
interesting.
questions to it. We can touch upon those, the free will and how much it is, how it is done. But yes, there are so many things to talk about. In terms of art and science, I hope I have answered or touched upon those things. We can talk about how it really touches, or rather, interpretation part of it, the art, which we have to confirm with the events and happenings, the character or properties, the qualities of a person. Are they being experienced, or are they being manifested in the physical world as we interpret? That is the proof of the pudding in terms of the 50% part that people doubt or people
Mhm.
claim as art or try to name as art. That is the 50% part that astrologers struggle with, and that have to be proved with events. So particular events can be proved to particular people with their horoscopes. But in order to generally connect the cosmic happenings with the physical happenings on Earth, our planet, there are many, many things, and we can touch upon those specifically, why it is important, what kind of events it touches upon. Like we were talking the other day about uh, full moon and new moon and lunatic asylums. Even the word lunatic comes from luna, which is moon. So you
Mhm.
can see our languages are influenced by planets and cosmic experiences that people have had over the years that all things have developed. So luna, lunar, mind, and there's a Sanskrit phrase which says Chandrama Manaso Jataka. That means a
Mhm.
mind represents a person's moon represents a person's mind. So all these things can be connected, and I can touch upon those, and we can talk upon how uh, so many things are designed around these cosmic happenings: high tide, low tide, police patrols, crimes, many things, bleeding, accidents. So yeah, thank you to you, Sandeep, and I hope we touch base again and just keep it up.
Thanks, Anush. Thank you so much. And guys, anyone listening to this podcast, if you have any questions, any comments, please feel free to comment on any of the topics if you want us to cover. Please let us know in the comment section. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.